right. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Make sure my microphone is up. All right. All right. How's everybody doing this morning? Let me make sure both of my microphones are working. Let's see, the G Track Pro microphone number 2 is working. Let's see. Let's check out the properties here. Logitech Brio. So let's do this. Good morning. Thank you for joining me. I got a few things I want to talk about. I just want to make sure that you guys are hearing me properly, because I know that my mics are tilted in one direction or the other. And yes, it is active. And let me see. Nope, that doesn't do it. Let's center both mics. Let's do it that way. Let's do it that way. How's everybody doing this morning? Good morning. Thank you for joining me. I just wanted to talk a little bit about my holistic health journey. I should have put my I should have put my holistic warrior, holistic American warrior head picture up instead of just the G Redd Dogg. But this is G Redd Dogg. Good morning. I hope everybody had a productive weekend. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I certainly did. Let me see here. How do you guys like my flames? My flames are pretty cool, huh? Yeah. So this is a little bit of morning talk. I like to talk to you guys in the morning when the sun is coming up. As you can see, the sun is coming up. My camera's a little glitchy on that side. But little sunrise talk. Now, you guys understand, if you know me, if you've been following, if you understand that I am a holistic health practitioner, right? And being a holistic health practitioner has enlightened me to a lot of things, a lot of really good and cheap ways to maintain your health, a lot of ways to stay out of the doctor's office, right? And a lot of tips like Moldavite, right? Butylenstein, it's also called Butylenstein. Bentonite clay, Haritaki. I've talked about a lot of things. You can find a lot of my videos on my YouTube channel, Biomed RX TV. I still have a lot of them there, and I still have a lot of them on the Devin Lockett channel. Now, what I was trying to get across, let me see, maybe if I click it into 2-track. Nope, it's still not doing it. I'm going to have to figure out something. Anyway, where was I? Now, this led me, when I was, 17, 18 or so, I went to the United States military, went to the Air Force, and I learned biomedical equipment maintenance. Now, biomedical equipment maintenance is still the focus of my main company, Biomed RX. I usually have a business card here on my desk that I can throw in your face, but I don't today. But Biomed RX is the mother company, and so basically I have been doing utilizing my military skills throughout my entire career. And shout out to all of the men and women who are still serving in the different branches of the United States military. I salute you and thank you for your service. I, for one, have done pretty well for myself with my military training, so I don't regret serving in the United States Air Force at all. So in my career in biomedical equipment maintenance, I've learned the repair and calibration and preventative maintenance and electrical safety inspection and how to maintain all modalities of medical equipment, including laboratory and x-ray, dialysis, everything in a hospital, dental equipment, all medical equipment. and medical imaging equipment. And because of this, when I discovered that neural feedback, or EEG biofeedback, EEG meaning electroencephalophagy, or using an electroencephalographic amplifier like this. This is called the Neural Amp 2. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, because my son was struck on the autism spectrum at a young age, I went through a series of therapies and different methods of trying to rescue him, or trying to relieve him of the symptoms that we know as autism. And in that quest, I discovered that neurofeedback was one of the more effective therapies in helping cure neural dysregulation. Neural dysregulation is something that occurs. Wow, this is interesting. When I switch views, the microphone actually goes off. Now, see, this is not good. I'm going to have to look into what's going on with this microphone situation. Anyway, I had to reconnect everything on my computer. I had to reconnect. That's why I'm experimenting with different camera angles, because I unplugged everything and replugged everything back, and I think I may have to do that process again. I may have to reconfigure everything again. However, I can finish this video with what I'm saying. I was graciously allowed in 2015, 2014, 2015, to study EEG biofeedback, or what we call neurofeedback, at the EEG Institute. At the time, it was in Woodland Hills, California. Shout out to Dr. Siegfried Othmer, the late Sue Othmer, and Kurt Othmer. The Othmers are wonderful people. And like I said, they graciously allowed me to study neurofeedback, EEG biofeedback. One of the things that I learned, here we have and I'm literally dusting it off because I've been closed. My health center's been closed for a minute. But we have the protocol guide, okay? The protocol guide for neurofeedback. And it's very good for understanding the different parts of the brain and the different lobes of the neocortex, and where you train to affect what aspect of behavior or cognitive function or mood or characteristic. We talk about left brain and right brain functions. Okay. You can see how to deal with depression, how to deal with a lot of different conditions, attention, okay, right? And neurofeedback is kind of complicated. I do videos discussing neurofeedback. I actually do videos where I'm hooking myself up to the neural amp, and I'm going to be doing that probably later on today, or at some point early in the week here. I just have to get my headphones together and my neural amp together, and I'm going to show you guys in real time. Now, in doing neurofeedback, right, I was able to help my son on the autism spectrum, and I was able to help a lot of other children, not only on the autism spectrum, but people, right? People who suffer from ADD, ADHD, or anxiety, stress, depression, a lot of conditions that people suffer from can be treated with neurofeedback. You can find out more if you go to my website, biomedrxneurofeedback.com, or californianeurofeedbackcenters.com. But, in doing neurofeedback, we initially, that's not the same for everyone. I mean, everybody's different, but normally we tend to start off with infra low neurofeedback is good for calming neocortical dysregulation in the neocortex. Dysregulation is something that happens with overwhelming stress or anxiety or boredom, which is basically ADHD, intense emotions. Uh, yeah. Dysregulation can also come from drug abuse or alcohol abuse, substance abuse. But infra-low neurofeedback is a great way of addressing that and calming the brain, especially calming the right hemisphere of the brain. That's very important. But I don't want to really get too deeply into that right now. What I'm trying to get at is when we get past infra-low, we can go either into, once we've sufficiently calmed a decent amount of neocortical dysregulation. Some clients would opt to go into something like synchrony neurofeedback, where we're training, we're using both channels of the amplifier to train the two hemispheres of the brain to work in synchrony with each other. And which is good because we have the entire spectrum of frequencies from 0 all the way up to 50 hertz to train the brain. And you get different results from training at different frequencies. Like I said, that's a much deeper topic than I really want to go into right now. But some clients go into what we call alpha theta neurofeedback. Now, if we discuss the frequencies in a very loose context, I don't want you to, I remember I'm not a doctor and I don't want you to take anything that you see or hear on Biomed RX TV to be medical advice. However, if we discuss in a very basic sense the meaning behind the different frequencies, then we can say that 5 hertz or around 5-6 hertz or below would be considered the delta range. And if you train in the delta range, you could probably go to sleep. You could put yourself to sleep. It's kind of different with infra-low. Some people fall asleep maybe after infra-low training. I'm not really sure. I certainly feel good after doing infra-low neurofeedback. But around 7 hertz, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7 hertz is what we call the theta zone, the theta frequencies, right? Theta is what you would consider, if you would consider delta to be deep sleep, right? When your brain is functioning at the primary frequency of 5 hertz or below. Theta would be REM sleep, REM, rapid eye movement sleep, or light sleep, or dream sleep, right? That's the dream zone. It's also the zone where we have access to the subconscious mind, where we go past the blockages of the conscious mind. The alpha theta state is known in hypnosis as the desired state for getting past a person's conscious mind and penetrating into the subconscious mind. So quite naturally, alpha theta neurofeedback, which is a very enjoyable experience, I might add, brought me to study hypnosis. So I did study at the Hypnosis Motivational Institute. And shout out to the people at HMI. That's a very good school in Woodland Hills. And this is kind of what I'm trying to get to. I'm going to talk about this in a minute. Okay. Now, in doing alpha theta neurofeedback, the natural progression of that was to get into hypnotherapy, okay, or different forms of hypnotherapy. And in my studies, I learned that I learned the dynamics of human communication, which is basically what hypnotherapy is about. Everyone has a suggestibility. Everyone hears or listens in a certain way. Everyone can be spoken to more effectively if you understood that person's suggestibility. And everyone has a sexuality. Now, before you start flagging this video, we're not talking about physical sex. We're not talking about sexual intercourse. Although there is some overlap between the two when you understand sexuality from a hypnotherapist's point of view. Sexuality is the opposite or the obverse concept of suggestibility. In other words, if everyone has a certain suggestibility, a way that they hear effectively, then they also have a certain type of sexuality, which is their outward communication to the world. So you have suggestibility and sexuality. Now, when you're examining a person for suggestibility, and there's a test that you can give. I think there's a test in this book. Actually, I bookmarked a page that you can give someone, and you can find out what their suggestibility is, right? Wow, yeah. So there are a lot of really good questions and answers here. I highly suggest you get this book, Professional Hypnotism Manual, by John G. Kappas, PhD. Kappas was the gentleman who actually started the Hypnosis Motivational Institute. And when you're examining a person's suggestibility, it's important to think about how they were raised, their primary parent, because there are two basic types of suggestibility: direct and inferential. Direct and inferential. So whether a person's suggestibility is direct, in other words, whether they respond to direct words, like me, I'm a very direct person in all of my communication. I'm direct. My suggestibility is direct, and my sexuality is definitely direct. Or inferential. A person can be direct or inferential. And it has a lot to do with your parenting, the primary parent, usually your mother, right? If you had the kind of mother that would perhaps apologize after spanking you, or basically who was not a narcissist, then you tend to be a direct person. Your suggestibility, you tend to respond more to direct suggestibility. If you had a narcissistic mother, I don't really know any other way to put this. If you had a primary parent, it could have been a mother or a father, but if you had the type of parent that was inferring things constantly, and you were constantly trying to please them, you were constantly trying to figure out how to make this person happy, how to behave in a manner that would get them to recognize your humanity and to acknowledge you or to validate you, then those people, unfortunately, are inferential. And I say unfortunately because it's the inferential people, in the words of John Kappas, it's the inferential people that fill the offices of psychologists and psychiatrists. And but you have to learn a person's suggestibility. Now you say, well, Devin, what if a person is halfway? Well, there is a way of being halfway. You can be just as inferential as you are direct. I would say that I'm probably a little bit of both in my suggestibility, to be perfectly honest. But in my sexuality, I'm very, very direct. And a person who is equally an inferential person and a direct person is known as a somnambulist. Now, some of you remember the drug Sominex, right? And that's back when it used to be okay to take sleeping pills, and that's back when it used to be okay to advertise Quaaludes or sleeping pills. I'm saying that jokingly, YouTube. It used to be okay to advertise Sominex and other sleeping pills on television. But Sominex was a get to sleep faster drug. I think today people would probably take melatonin and ashwagandha and maybe a little bit of liquid. What am I trying to think of? It'll come to me. Not iodine, magnesium, a little bit of magnesium. It helps you sleep well at night. But Sominex, I'm bringing up Sominex because it had SOM in the name and it was a sleep drug. So a somnambulist is a person who basically is in a state of confusion in the sense that they have been switching back and forth from trying to interpret life in a direct way, like maybe they've been studying and taking tests on the things that they've been learning in school, and so they understand direct communication. You learn this, you test it on this, you answer in exactly the way it was written. This is direct communication. You're receiving direct communication from your teachers in school. And then you go home to the narcissistic mom who, instead of saying, please close the window, she would say, oh, I'm feeling a little breezy or whatever. And then you have to run around and interpret what it is that they're feeling. And so, these people tend to be the most suggestible people, somnambulists. And that brings me to a very important subject, because in my therapy of my son, of my youngest son, Kai. Oh, shout out to my kids, by the way, Yvonne, Katie, and Kai. I love you guys. Love all of you. We basically found ourselves in the same tug of war between direct communication. I'm a very direct person. I'm a very direct parent, right? I'm a very direct person in all of my relationships and in all of my communications. And the inferential method of parenting that his mother used. And this has led to a lot of really unfortunate situations for my son. Narcissistic enmeshment parenting abuse, and that's something that you should look up on your own. And it's gotten very, very extreme. I'm not going to go into it right now and right here, unless you guys want me to. But you can say that in the comments, and then we'll get deeper on deeper videos. But I just wanted to take you down the road this morning of neurofeedback, EEG biofeedback, for treating and addressing neocortical dysregulation, and then going from there going from infralow neurofeedback into the modality of alpha theta neurofeedback, within which you have two target frequencies that you're training the brain at. You're training the brain at 7 hertz, which is in the theta frequency zone, and you're training the brain at 10 hertz, 11 hertz, depends. You can set it manually, which is in the alpha zone. When you're doing alpha theta neurofeedback, you can, because everyone's ability to concentrate is different, you can access memories. You can access repressed memories or repressed emotions from the subconscious mind, from the theta zone, and bring them to the alpha level. You can also do this energetically without necessarily remembering specific memories, without necessarily having specific memories come to mind. Although I personally have experienced both. I've experienced alpha theta neurofeedback with flashbacks and without flashbacks. Either way, one of the things that I've definitely noticed after provoking a neocortical shift, we have an expression in EEG circles: shift happens, right? The brain is very plastic. There is neurodendritic plasticity, which means that we can look at your neuron, like my hand here, right, with the axiom and the dendrites, right? And just like on a tree, when you have a tree, branches can grow from other branches, right? You can have a branch, and then from that branch, other branches grow. Well, that's the same thing with the dendrites in your neocortex or in the brain. So, continuous, repetitive training in short interval can provoke a neocortical shift, a shift that is the result of neodendritic plasticity. Okay, I'm getting way ahead of myself, and it's going to take a lot of videos on the subject of neurofeedback, a lot of videos on the subject of hypnotherapy in order for me to get these concepts across to you effectively. But I'm just touching on it today, and I hope you guys are enjoying this. Now, where was I? Yes, the alpha theta shift. When you provoke a shift in alpha theta, now sometimes people say, "Oh well, I had a tear come down," and this happens a lot. The release of maybe some negative repressed emotions that you're accessing with alpha theta neurofeedback. But in my personal anecdotal experience, I've noticed that after provoking a shift in alpha theta, that I was able to talk about and address subjects that used to bring me a lot of pain, right? And I didn't have any emotion attached to it. It's as though I went into the back door and opened up a pressure relief valve and released the energy that was associated with, memories or whatever. And so I find myself, I love when that train passes. I find myself to be closer to what some people in maybe Scientology circles might consider a clear, where you're no longer affected. You don't have the reactive mind. You're no longer affected by things that have happened in your life. This is a very good, and I've had some pretty good, interesting conversations with. I've had some pretty interesting conversations with Scientologists about the process, and because I like the whole concept behind Dianetics. Dianetics is basically feedback talk therapy, right? But we're going to feedback assisted, we could say, feedback assisted talk therapy. And don't come after me, Scientologists, if I didn't get that exactly right. I'm sure there's a better way that L. Ron Hubbard would want me to say that, but whatever. So I'm going to also get into biomagnetic pair therapy. Okay, biomagnetic pair therapy, using pairs of magnets in order to help the body liberate itself of toxins. Yes, this is possible. And I highly recommend you get this book by Dr. Isaac Goyes Duran, the late, great Dr. Isaac Goyes Duran. Shout out to the Goyes family. Shout out to David Goyes. Shout out to Moises Goyes. Shout out to all of the Goyes brothers and sisters and family and spouses. And heavenly shout out to Dr. Isaac Goyes for giving us this wonderful biomagnetic pair therapy. So that's about it for now. I'm getting a little dry mouth. I'm going to make some scrambled eggs and start my day. That's all I wanted to talk to you guys about. Give you a little touch on what we're going to be going over with reference to the dynamics of neurofeedback, hypnotherapy, biomagnetic pair therapy, and the other therapies that I performed during my tenure of having the Biometrics Health Center being opened. Now, I get a lot of comments and I get a lot of requests. I am going to reopen. We may not call it the Biometrics Health Center. It could be Med Spa, Wellness Center. It could be under any other different name. But we are going to be providing the business to consumer services from a storefront again very soon. And we are going to be selling the Biometrics CBD that everybody keeps calling me about. You guys can't get enough of it. I can't get enough of it either, but I don't really take it as much, because our weakest strength is 1,000 milligram strength. So Biometrics CBD is nothing to fool with. Okay, just to put it out there. Let me get a couple of scratches on biomedical CBD. Yes, yes, yes. So anyway, that's it. I'm not really too big on the sound effects. I mean, I like it. I like messing around. There you go. In your face. Yeah. But anyway, thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. I'm going to be going live later on today. I want to run, but we have to run errands. We have to go to Beverly Hills and do stuff. So I may do another peak performance protocol training day tomorrow. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. And thank you guys again. Thanks for joining. Remember to stay kind, because kind is the new sexy. Kind is really the only sexy. Mean people suck. I hate mean people, man. Mean people suck. And I'm sure you do too, right? Mean people suck, right? Stay blessed and stay healthy, all right? This is your boy, G Redd Dogg.